The rumbling of Western sanctions is getting louder, while another power is emerging in the storm's shadow. A new currency is being formed by the Brics nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which might pose a serious threat to the dollar's dominant position. But what exactly would have to happen for the Brics to knock the dollar off its perch? And if they were successful, what would the consequences be? Stay tuned as we learn more about this game changer in this video. The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 70 years, but its dominance is being challenged by the rise of the Brics nations. These 5 countries are growing in economic and political power, and they are frustrated by the US's use of the dollar as a weapon. The Brics nations are exploring the possibility of creating a new global currency that would be independent of the US dollar. This would give them more control over their own economies and reduce their vulnerability to US sanctions. Will the dollar survive, or will it be replaced by a new global currency? The battle for the future of the global financial system is just beginning. The US dollar is still the world's reserve currency, but its days may be numbered. The Brics nations are rising, and they are not afraid to challenge the US. The future of the global economy is at stake. As we see this momentous shift, we must also think about how it will impact the future of the US currency and the complex network of relations that makes up the world around us. Before we continue exploring the complex future of Brics, if you're interested in this developing story and want to stay updated on the changing global financial landscape, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned until the end of the video. Russia and China are leading the charge, but India, Brazil, and South Africa are also on board. Together, these 5 countries represent a growing economic and political power, and they are determined to challenge the US dollar's dominance in the global financial system. After World War II, the US dollar was anointed as the world's reserve currency. It was backed by gold at a fixed exchange rate of $35 an ounce. But in 1971, the US government defaulted on its gold reserves, and the dollar became fiat money. A few years later, U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger visited King Faisal of Saudi Arabia and brokered a deal that would cement the dollar's dominance. The U.S. agreed to provide military support to Saudi Arabia, and in return, Saudi Arabia agreed to denominate oil globally in U.S. dollars. This deal created a synthetic demand for the dollar. Countries that wanted to buy oil had to do so in U.S. dollars. This gave the dollar a unique status as the world's reserve currency. The dollar's dominance has allowed the U.S. to wield enormous power in the global economy. It can use the dollar to punish countries that it doesn't like. It can also use the dollar to finance wars. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the U.S. and Europe froze $300 billion of Russia's foreign exchange and gold reserves. This could mean that other countries that act against Western interests could also have their overseas assets withheld. This is a big deal because it could lead to a loss of trust in the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. If countries start to worry that their assets could be frozen if they don't do what the US wants, they might start to move their money to other currencies. The rise of the Brics countries is challenging the dollar's dominance. These countries are tired of being at the mercy of the US financial system. They want to have more control over their own economies, and they want to be less vulnerable to US sanctions. The future of the dollar as the world's reserve currency is uncertain, but one thing is for sure: the Brics challenge is a major development that could have a significant impact on the global financial system. For decades, the US dollar has been the world's reserve currency. It's used in over 80% of international trade and is the currency of choice for central banks around the world. But that dominance is starting to fade. One sign of this is Saudi Arabia's decision to explore trading oil in other currencies, including the euro and the yuan. This is a major shift for Saudi Arabia, which has used the US dollar for nearly 50 years. Another sign of de-dollarization is the increasing use of cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are digital currencies that are not backed by any government. This makes them attractive to countries that are looking to reduce their reliance on the US dollar. The de-dollarization of the global economy could have a major impact on the US economy. The dollar's dominance has allowed the US to wield enormous power in the global economy. It can use the dollar to punish countries that it doesn't like. It can also use the dollar to finance wars. But if the dollar loses its status as the world's reserve currency, the U.S. will lose a lot of its power. The de-dollarization of the global economy is still in its early stages, but it's a trend that's worth watching. It could have a major impact on the U.S. economy and the global financial system. The BRICS countries are working on creating a new international reserve currency that will be backed by gold. This is a historic move that could challenge the dominance of the U.S. dollar. In recent months, central banks from the BRICS countries have been stockpiling gold reserves. This suggests that they are preparing for the launch of the new currency. The IMF has also noted a declining share of U.S. dollars held by central banks, which is another sign that the countries are moving away from the dollar. The BRICS currency could challenge the dollar's dominance and give these countries more power in the global economy. This is a major development that could have a big impact on the world economy. It will be interesting to see how the BRICS countries' plans for a new currency play out in coming years. The global financial system is interconnected and interdependent. When one country takes action, it can ripple through the system and affect other countries. The sanctions imposed on Russia have had a significant impact on the country's economy. However, the possibility of direct trade between China and India outside of the SWIFT system could have an even bigger impact on the global financial system. China and India are rivals, but they're also cooperating on some things. Picture the scene. India is participating in the Belt and Road Initiative on a proxy basis. This shows that India is willing to work with China even though they have their differences. The fact that OPEC countries are joining or applying to join the BRICS is also significant. It shows that these countries are looking for new partners and that they are not happy with the current US-led order. It will be interesting to see how the future geopolitical and economic environment plays out. It is clear that the US is not the only player anymore, and that the world is becoming multipolar. The Iran nuclear deal is shaking up the global oil market. The Saudis, who are the world's largest oil exporter, see the deal as a rejection of the petrodollar deal, which is an agreement that oil is only sold in dollars. This could lead to the Saudis starting to sell oil in other currencies, which would be a big blow to the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency. If countries start to lose faith in the dollar, they might start to use other currencies instead. This could have a big impact on the global economy. The dollar is used to dominate most international trade and finance. If countries start to use other currencies, it could make it more difficult to trade and finance. The BRICS countries are considering creating a new currency, but there are a number of challenges that would need to be overcome in order to make it successful. One challenge is that the BRICS countries would need to agree on a basket of currencies that would make up the new currency. This would be difficult, as each country has its own currency and its own economic interests. Another challenge is that the new currency would need to be stable and liquid. This means that it would need to be backed by a strong economy and that it would be easy to use for trading and investment. Despite these challenges, there is a growing belief that the BRICS countries are serious about creating a new currency. If they are successful, this could have a significant impact on the global monetary order. Here are some of the potential benefits of a BRICS currency. It would reduce the BRICS countries' dependence on the US dollar. It would give the BRICS countries more control over their own monetary policies. And it would make it more difficult for the US to impose sanctions on the BRICS countries. However, there are also some potential risks associated with the BRICS currency. It could be difficult to agree on a basket of currencies that would make up the new currency. The new currency could be volatile and unstable, and it could lead to trade wars between the BRICS countries and the US. Overall, the creation of a BRICS currency is a complex and challenging proposition. However, if the BRICS countries are successful, it could have a significant impact on the global monetary order. The BRICS nations are in discussions to create a fresh currency dedicated to their mutual trade. A decision regarding this matter is anticipated to be reached during the upcoming summit scheduled for this month, August 2023. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more interesting upcoming videos.